Welcome everyone to our fourth IBA stage of 2022. As you know, Stage is a program of the International Biennial Association dedicated to the presentation and the discussion around biennials across the world that might be in less reachable areas, or that might not have had the possibilities of being seen and being discussed as much as others. And we like to dedicate this space to thorough presentation and usually an engaging discussion that follows. Before starting, I want to welcome everyone also that is joining us through our YouTube channels, through Facebook, and all of our other social media outlets. For this fourth edition, we are extremely happy to have with us representatives from the SACO Bienal, which is taking place in Antofagasta in the north of Chile. I'm sure we will hear more about the territory and the conditions in which the biennial takes place. And with us today are Dagmara Wyskiel, director of the Bienal, and Carlos Rendón, who is responsible for fundraising and external relationship, let's say, of the Bienal. Before I give a full introduction to both of them and then give them the word to present the Biennale, I just wanted to go over some basic house rules for the talk. We, of course, love to see you all here, but for the sake of maintaining a good flow of the presentation, we ask you to keep mics and cameras off during the presentation itself. And if you have any questions, if you have any questions in the Q&A session afterwards, you can either raise your hands with the appropriate button in the Zoom link, or write it in the chat, and we will be hopefully speedy in reacting and giving you the word, or reading out your question. I just want to remind everyone that the session is being recorded for archival purposes and will also be shared through our social media outlets as well as our website once ready. If you have any further questions or comments regarding IBA Stage or regarding any other program of the International Biennial Association, don't hesitate to contact us. And you can do that through our regular email, which is info@biennialassociation.org. And I think that's it in terms of relevant house rules that everybody should keep an eye on. As I said, Dagmara Wyskiel is the director of Bienal SACO. She's a Doctor of the Arts from the University of Fine Arts in Krakow, in Poland, director of the Contemporary Arts Biennial SACO, and founder of ISLA, which is an artistic residency in Antofagasta. She's an artist with a renowned international career, who has become an important cultural manager in the north of Chile. And joining us as well is Carlos Rendón, as I said, who is external relationship manager for Bienal SACO. He's a journalist, writer, and cultural manager. He has worked as a reporter and editor in various print media and web portals. And has written for cultural projects in the region, using the tools provided by journalism to promote and enhance artistic and cultural expression in the city. After the short presentation, again, I would like to welcome you both here and welcome all of our audiences. And I would like to give you the words. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Christian. Thank you. We are so happy to join today with every one of you, and I hope you will enjoy this presentation. So we will start. We'll talk about SACO. It's a project with nearly 10 years of history, and it was first a festival. Now we are biennial, and we are working for the second edition of SACO. Carlos.
Great. Give me just a moment. Okay, we are ready. Thank you, Dagmara. Hi, everyone accompanying us here or seeing us in social media, right? I will begin this presentation talking about the cultural context of Antofagasta in Chile. Well, Antofagasta is a port city located in the north of our country, touched by the long Pacific coast, next to the driest desert in the world, and under the most pristine skies in the planet. It is a city of around 400,000, and the capital of the region of the same name, characterized by its history of extractivism. Antofagasta, as I was mentioning before, has its nature, its value in its nature, because it has a long coast. It's at the side of the Atacama Desert, the driest desert in the world, where almost there is no rain. The raindrops don't touch the ground. They dry out before it. And also has the famous observatories like Alma or Paranal, just here, some kilometers away. So it's a country, it's a region in the country very famous for it, and especially for two phenomena that I want to talk a little here. One is its migration processes. From the beginning, Antofagasta has migration. It was created with migration, first from European and Asian one, and then from Latin America. A decade ago, we have a lot of Colombian migration, and now we have Venezuelan migration for different topics, political problems, etc. Just some years ago, I remember an article that was like a meme here in the cities, because Antofagasta was called the Dubai of Latin America. It was like, wow, it's nothing like that, but okay. It generates this idea that Antofagasta is a place to go to work and to make money and to send that money to outside, to other country, and then take your family and come all here, not to be rich, but to live good. And this idea, I think it's still today very, very strong. And the second phenomenon here in the city, in the region, is the mining extractive situation that we have from the beginning. From the creation of Antofagasta, we have something to be extracted. At first it's like guano, then saltpeter, copper, and no lithium. It's like a bless, but a course in the region. And this situation promotes a vision of art and culture that is not like something important, right? This is the map of Chile. It's a long and narrow country. And as you can see, we have 43,000 kilometers of length, but only in this small part in the center, in these 766 kilometers, there are all the artistic places to study art, right? Academies, universities where you can study art. In the rest of the country, there is nothing like that. So if you want to study arts at a professional level, you have to go there, or it's impossible, right? In this region, in Antofagasta, for example, it's very easy to study an engineering or to be a doctor, or to be a lawyer. If you want to be a curator of an artist, like it's impossible. Only if you go to Santiago or other of these three regions, you can study, but now you are screwed. So here is Antofagasta, this for the point. And I want to show you, well, this is the map of Antofagasta, and this is the graphic that I want to share with you, because these other points are other places, other cities where you can study art. And as you can see, this is very graphic because places like Arequipa in Peru, La Paz in Bolivia, or Tucumán in Argentina are nearer to Antofagasta than Santiago. So this generates a logic that, okay, we are more similar to our partners here in the Andes, in the Altiplano, than Santiago, that is our same country, but it's very, very far away. So to talk more about especially the mining context and the extractivism problems here in the city, I will leave you with Dagmara again. Oh, and here's the seat, just to let you know, here is Antofagasta.
Thank you, Carlos. Yeah, when we are talking about not only Antofagasta, all the Atacama Desert context, we have to speak about extractivism. It is a territory or market of inequities, contamination, invisibility, and transnational interest, big really business. But at the same time, a place of research of life beyond Earth, at the most powerful eye that humanity has towards in the universe. And we have a land of Licanantay, the original ethnic group that inhabited the foothills of the Andes from the more than 1,000 years. Yeah, Carlos was speaking about the immigrants. I think that we have these 2 points, the mix of the human mix between the immigrants and the original ethnical people. So this part of the desert, it's a really special because have the original people, and all the time we have new immigrants for the new parts of the world. And we are living in this desert, and we see here the clearest skies of the planet, and there is the territory market of the mining monoproduction and the abandonment of the social and cultural politics. Yeah, in this point, I have to stop because maybe you know that we have a really strong changes in Chile now, and we hope that everything will be better. We will have a new constitution, but we have to wait. Now we are talking about the sacrifice zone generated from the difficult working conditions because of pollution and a lot of environmental problems. Carlos, please.
Thank you. Crossing fingers for those changes to come.
Yes.
Okay, I will tell you now about SACO, about our Biennial right now. Just a little history. SACO was created in 2012 in Antofagasta, and it began as a contemporary art week. Just to be clear, many people have asked us why SACO and no the Antofagasta Bienal or the Antofagasta Bienal. This is because it's linked to our roots as a week, because if you say in Spanish, Contemporary Art Week is Semana de Arte Contemporáneo. So the first letter is SACO, and then the name goes on, and even when we transform in a festival 5 years later, and from last year in a Bienal, the name stays, right? So SACO is the Bienal of Contemporary Art here in Chile. We entered IBA when we were still a festival. That's a strange situation, but it was like our last edition as a festival, so it was okay. Our privileged location has allowed us to develop a solid residence program, coordinating project that usually culminates in an exhibition. Its priority is to establish horizontal meeting points to generate circulation between arts and the community, deepening the creative processes as informal educational tools outside the box. Regarding SACO and Rulaino's works, we have 3 pillars that you can see here. 3 pillars that we create according to our experience or type of work here in the region. We will talk more deeply about each one, but just a little phrase of each one. Museum without museum is our exhibition part. It's called Museum without museum because, as I was mentioning before, we don't have here museums of art, of visual art. So what is the museum here? Okay, the museum without the museum. So we put different exhibitions in different parts of the city, not in museums. School without school is like the sister of museum without museum because it follows the same logic, right? So we don't have school of art, school of professional art. So how can we teach it with the school without school? That is the second part. And tier one is the territorial residence where we show the people here, the investigator, the artists, the desert, the ruins, the natural, fantastic place, the sky, and we combine it with different parts of our study here, different science, for example. We will talk also more about it in the future. And I will begin talking about museum without museum. As I was telling you, it consists of temporarily occupying public and private infrastructures, open and closed, connected in a circuit of exhibition spaces. Here you can see some of the pictures of museum without museum. I will talk a little about each one. The first one here is our historical pier. The historic pier in Antofagasta is like our most well-known exhibition. It's the one that has most pictures, most selfies, and more spread in social media, right? This exhibition, to be part of this exhibition, you have to participate in an open call with a lot of people applying it. And if you are selected as one of the 7 artists, you can be part of this international pier. This is a historic monument of the country, so it's a very special place. It has a long history when Antofagasta was still a Bolivian territory. So it's a very powerful place, and we were the first one to use it as a place to put artworks in the open, right? Like site-specifics in the pier. We use other kind of spaces like this in the center. It appears very beautiful, but it's a parking lot. It's a parking lot of a port, of the port of Antofagasta. Antofagasta is a port city. And one part of this port is a park lot, and we use it also to make exhibitions. It's a very, very big space that we are using from last year with exhibition from SACO too. Well, this is another picture of another artwork of the historical pier, and we also work with other spaces like this in the bottom left corner. This is a park, a strange park, because when we say park, we talk about trees and flowers and everything green, but this is a brown park. It's a park full of rocks and, and sand. It's a very special place because it's located within a ruins where Antofagasta were also Bolivian. In this picture in the center, you can see part of these ruins. It's called Ruinas de Huanchaca. We also have works there, some works in the park and some works in the museum that is there, the Museum of the Desert. This is a work, for example, this very big face mask is one of the artworks that were presented last year in our Biennial, our first edition as a Biennial of Contemporary Art. But we also had the opportunity to a more traditional work in spaces like this, in the bottom right corner. It's like one good white cube that we have in the city, where we put some of works that are impossible to put in the outside. This is a work of Luis Canitzer. It was an exhibition of a selection of their works. And of course, you can't put this in the pier, for example, or in the ruins. So we at least have this one good space, white cube. In this second screen, I want to show you more about this space. This is the other part of this white cube. This is a work from the 9th edition of SACO Festival. And when the white cube is not possible, when we can't enter the space, we can even use the frontis like this. This is the regional library of Antofagasta, very big and historic place. Very formal, and last year in the Biennial we put enormous underwear. in the frontiers of the library. As you imagine, that caused a lot of commotion in social media, a lot of theories. What is that? It's a political protest, etc. No, it was part of our exhibitions. And when that even is not possible or is not enough, we use the desert. As you can see in these other 3 pictures, we sometimes put the artwork in the desert or in the highways to the desert. Like this one, this is an intervention as a public place to have publicity. We put an artwork, and also in the desert itself, like this work called Raudomante, or this intervention in the desert, that was part of our last year exhibition also. So, Dagmara?
Yes, we work physically in 2 spaces. The main space is in Antofagasta, is Isla, and then in a really special place in the middle of the Atacama Desert, we work with La Tintorera, is an associated space in San Pedro de Atacama. We offer for artists from all over the world 3, 4, 5 weeks of residency. And during this residency, they connect with territory, with the context, and then they produce work in progress. I don't know if sometimes we can call it artwork, but what we normally show in a Biennial are work in progress. For the first time, this process is showing to the public, and the first public, and this is so important for us, is the local public. Is the local public, and normally it means the very first contact with the contemporary art. So the responsibility, how it will work, it's so big. We have a lot of mediators working if any place, not in the desert. We can't put the mediators and leave them 1 month in the middle of the desert. But every indoor exposition has mediators. It's really important because our public is a really new public. So I will tell you now about, Carlos, please, about the sum of kind of residencies. We work a lot of scientists. We are really here Mecca of the global astronomy. We have a clear sky. So there are a lot of artists coming and wanting to work with a scientist from astronomy. It's a really existential, I can say it, experience to see the sky in the night in Atacama Desert. I think that is the kind of experience that can change any human being. And of course, for artists, it's so inspiring. We work a lot with education. We have a great network with schools. So we ask every artist to offer some kind of conference or workshop for local students. And we work with geology. We have a naked earth here. And I think that it's really inspired too. There are a lot of people who wanted to work with geologists, and we have a network of scientists from geology, and they were working with us, believing that between art and science, there is still a lot of interesting things that we can together find. And the microbiology, the from the last this month, we feel that a lot of people, a lot of artists want to work especially with extremophiles. I think because they are so symbolic, I don't know, maybe in the ideological way. And we have a lot of this kind of life, you know, in the desert that you can't see it with your eyes, but you know that there is their lives and there is there. So it's really strange. She, for example, she's working with the scientists and looking for this life that still exists and can help us find answers for a lot of important questions about the life and the origin of the life and the future of the life and whatever. Archaeology, of course, so important, especially in San Pedro de Atacama, Licanantine native people. So we do this kind of connection in the Andes territory. And the migration, yeah, we are talking already about the waves, period waves during all the history of Antofagasta, dreaming about the better life. So there is a really rich territory to this kind of investigation.
Great, perfect. Yes, as you said, Dagmar, I think that art and migration, that line of investigation is very interesting for the artists, and more we are receiving more people interested in this kind of situation, especially because the news, right? The news about the frontier of Chile and the north frontier of Chile is causing a lot of spread here in the country and outside the country.
Yeah, and the last time it's sometimes it's competitive, sometimes it's difficult, but it's so important to investigate, to research the environmental problems, to speak directly about the minery, about the industry, about the historical process, because it's a mining territory from the beginning. And now we are with the copper, and then it starts lithium. So all the time, this society is a society working directly with a big mining industry. And it's really interesting to see what does it mean.
Thank you, Dagmara. So I will talk now about how to participate in SACO as an artist. That is also a question that most of the time we receive from others, biennials, festivals, and of course the artists, right? So we have three main ways to be part as an artist of SACO. The first one is the open call. I already talked a little about this open call, right? So in this edition of SACO, an international call is open for all the world to be part of the largest exhibition of SACO, that is the one in the historical period, right? This open call has been very important for us, and every year is growing. Last time, for example, we received 233 applications from 4 continents, and it's always a growth. It's constant, and we are very happy and very blown away sometimes. How some people from, I don't know, South Africa, for example, can apply for if we can never be able to go there, right? It's incredible, the massiveness of this open call. Last year, we, for example, had an artist that won this open call. That was one of the 7 winners. That was from Nigeria. Wow, Nigeria. It's incredible. There is always a jury team that defines the selection, an international team that works to select the 7 artists. The artists come here, have a residence of 10 days, and then mount their works in the pier. The jury also comes. I am mentioning this because there's a lot of discussion about, or I don't know if this question is the word, it's more like a praise even, as how SACO can be so familiar and human in the trade with their inviters, because this open call creates like a big family, right? Of these 7 artists and the jury, and all in the same house and making activities together, make some changes of dishes to eat in the night. It's like it's a very friendly and human interaction through this open call. And the second one is a collaboration with international representatives, especially with the ones that have representation in Chile. We have 4 ways of collaborating in this case. We have, for example, calls, other open calls with institutions like, I don't know, Goethe Institute, the French Institute, with whom we have calls to have artists from those countries, from Germany, from France, to come here. We have research trips with institutions like Pro Helvetia, or no, with Wallonia Brussels, with whom, for example, just a quick one, Dagmara will be traveling in just a month to Belgium, to the French-speaking Belgium, with support from Wallonia Brussels, to check the artistic institutions, the cultural scene, and to create these connections, these possible projects in the future for our Biennial, just as one example. Other possibilities are the funding application opportunities. For example, when we apply for PICE or Korea Foundation, we are constantly checking these possible ways of funding artists, and this is connected with the third one here, the selection. Normally, we at SACO know a lot of creators from a lot of countries from years, and we are normally for 3, 4, 5 years talking with them, creating the way for them to come here, and how to obtain the fund, what kind of work, what kind of residence he or she will have here. And this process of selection by our curatorial team led us to select some artists and to work with them in like a pair, like helping them to obtain the funds, or helping them to lead to the better way for them to come here. We have had great experience, for example, last year of this kind of participation with one of the most important artist right now in Colombia, Oscar Muñoz. Here is part of his work that we know him from a lot of time in the past, like 5, 6 years, and then finally last year we were able to have him here in Antofagasta, and this kind of relationships. We are constantly making this kind of relationships. Mara?
Thank you, Carlos. I will tell you about our new project. It has more or less 1 year. It is a network of residencies of visual arts in Chile. We are 6 now. It is a really strong and dynamic network. It's important for the dynamics of the emerging creative and sustainable economy, which goes hand in hand with the cultural exchange, tourism for special purposes, and the engagement of the cultural and environmental wealth as growth potential. I think that here you have 6 names of the cities, but maybe it will be easier to understand what does it mean, this network, if Carlos will share with you the imagine some kind of map. Please, Carlos, could you do that? So I will tell a bit about this idea, because this is the first network of residencies of visual arts in Latin America. So it's a bit experimental project. We are sure that the biggest problem to come to Latin America, to come to Chile, is the price of the flight ticket. So sometimes we have this kind of situation that the curators of or artists want to do some kind of research or investigation, but normally because they have the contact only with the one place, they go there, and then during 2, 3, 4 years, they are looking for the other possibility. The idea is to offer some kind of individual programs. So you can come to Chile and you can go to Atacama Desert, the first 2 points. You can see it's Isla and it's Tintorera, do you remember, in San Pedro de Atacama? Then in the middle, Heritage City, Valparaíso, really a symbol of Chile. Then we go to the south, we have Valdivia, and we have Island of Chiloé with the modern museum. This is the modern museum, really a special, lovely place. We have a meeting there in 1 week more. All the organizations of residencies in Chile, we will meet together in 1 week there in Isla Grande in Chiloé. And then we go to the end of the earth, to Patagonia, to the end of Patagonia, because the Iceland is in Chiloé, it's Patagonia too, but this is a land of fire, and we have their cap, Chilean Switzerland residency between art and science. This one, it's a really a magnific experience to be there. It's quite difficult to get there. It's really, really difficult. But it's a magnific experience. And the University of Magallanes has a small place for artists and mixing art and science residency in near Punta Arenas in the same region too. So this is something new, and it mix and it's a potential of the Bienal, because as already I explained, we work with this kind of process. We don't look for artworks in the world. When I'm traveling, for example, as a director, as a curator, we are looking for artists, and we invite artists to live this kind of experience, to live this kind of process, and then to share the result with a local public, with a local community. So here you have some photos of the network of these places, the magnificent places that we offer for artists in Chile, for the extremely south to the extremely north, from the driest desert to the territory of Magallanes and the end of the continent.
Thank you, Dagmara. I think that it's very important to tell this, that as Chile is so long and so narrow, it's a place with so different ambience and even cultures and communities. So to create this kind of network with places from all over the country, I think that is magnificent. We also are working, right, to add some members, some new members. So these six places will be becoming maybe 7 in the future, or even 8. We are working with that. So let's hope for Al Otro Lado to keep growing. So I will tell you a little about our third pillar. We talked in the beginning about museum without museum, and now Dagmara told you about the territory, and now I will tell you about school without school. As is mentioned here, is an extensive informal artistic education program prioritizing children and youth. School without school is a very important line of work for us, because we can't work only with exhibitions and residents. We have to put every of our efforts to create something for the community, something pedagogical, a retribution for the community in the line of work. And this is so important about School Without the School. As Dagmara said earlier, to all the artists, to all the curators, investigators that come here and has these residents with us, we ask for them to make a retributional action, a pedagogical action, like a talk, a workshop, or another kind of work that retributes the interviews, the travel that he or she makes to the community. So as you can see in these pictures, we had a lot of workshops, a lot of projects, little pedagogical projects that were part of School Without School, and especially in years like this, where we are between biennials, right? Because last year was our last edition. School Without School is fundamental for our work. So we are working a lot with all of our team to create programs and possibilities to School Without School, and to keep growing this pillar of work. In this time, I will tell you more about 3 projects, the School Without School projects that are the most important ones this year for us. I will begin with this, with micro curatorships from marginality. This is a diploma that wants to fight back against the reality that I was telling just in the beginning of the conference, right? This situation of not being able to work, to learn more about art in a professional level. How to be a curator, for example. If you're born here and you want to be a curator, you have to go to Santiago or study other things, right? So this project in particular wants to fight back that. So we create this program with 30 masters, teachers with different disciplines, and 30 students, not only from the north of Chile, but also for central Chile, from Argentina, from Peru, from Mexico, that are participating in this large project that began just in April, just past month, and it will have classes and other activities until October of this same year. This is not only a Zoom diploma, as you can see here, we also have activities here in the region with the students coming here with some of the teachers, with some of the masters, to make some work, some practical work in the desert of Atacama. We have 2 modules that will be made here in the city, in the region, and we are expecting it to be great and to be a great help for these people that want to know more about curatorial. It's a very interesting project, because it's like a direct answer to the curator of Santiago that don't believe in this kind of project because he is from the university, from the academy, blah, 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 and you can take some kind of this type of projects is like seeing with strange situation. But I believe that it's very important to make micro-curatorship in this case and these kind of projects, because normally in the city, in Antofagasta, the artists, when they create their artworks, they were waiting from the curator from Santiago to come here in the white horse and the shining armor, like, okay, come with me, come to the big galleries of Santiago, come to the big galleries of Chile, of the center of Chile. And it's like, okay, but no, that normally never happens, right? So the artist has to be its same curator, right? And micro-curatorships in this case comes from this, like an answer to this reality that affects our region from many years to the past. We have other 2 projects. These projects I present at the same time because are similar, especially in how they we are making it because both of them use virtual reality headsets. We began this project with the use of VR through Oculus Quest 2 we are using to make projects that help people to understand more about the ancestral knowledge and the phenomenon of seeing figures in the sky. This is Interstellar World. It's a project based in the Andean worldview that using this VR technology mix scientific foundation with ancestral knowledge and how the people create this phenomenon of pareidolia and create pictures, works, constellation. But the most important thing is that we don't teach about the zodiac, for example. We don't teach about the Occidental for kind of see the sky, but the Andean way of see the sky. They, for example, they don't see the constellation in the stars, like putting link to the stars. No, they use the dark part of the sky, right? So these dark constellations, and this is a project that we are beginning to make it in different schools, in different areas. We hope to, for the Interstellar World, to go to other parts of the region, to other towns, and even other parts of the country, because not only help to create projects, to create a project to show about the Andean worldview, but also is part of a mediation process that we create with Interstellar World. In general, these two projects work with this, right? It's not to put the glasses and it's over. It has all this mediation program at the beginning, then the VR, and then an activity or a conversation with these figures so important for us that Dagmara told you, that is the mediator. The mediator of SACO for us is very, very important because it's the only way to show to some people that never had the experience to see how is a contemporary art exhibition, for example, to finally see it through this kind of projects. The other one is Biennial in the trunk. And this is, well, the name is a little funny because we wanted with this project to put the biennial in a car and with that car go to the desert or go to different part of Antofagasta. That is a very long city, right? So there's a lot of people that can never go to SACO, go to exhibition of SACO. Even as we have a point of exhibition in a lot of part of the city, some people never. Some people maybe not know what SACO is, right? So with Biennial in the Trunk, we want to go there showing a selection part of our exhibitions so they can see it in VR with a curator or a mediator talking to them to make the experience the more similar possible to the face-to-face experience. So these two projects are also, as I mentioned before, part of our School Without School program, but they are not the only ones. I think that with this way, I will close this part of the presentation because all the artists, as I was mentioning, that come here also do an activity, a pedagogical activity. And just 2 days ago, we have, for example, I think that this example is very good because it shows you everything that we have been talking. We have a duo of artists from France and Germany that come here funded by a program of the Goethe Institute and Instituto Francés, Resonances program, right? This Resonances program led us to have this pair of artists that were just beginning their residence program. They actually, as we are talking here in this presentation, they are driving in the desert just right now. They rent a car and are in this adventure. And they do a talk, a conference just 2 days ago with a group with a lot of people from the city, around 50 people that came there and listened to them. And it's like a fundamental part of all of work to make this retribution. For that reason, we talk with them from the beginning, hey, you have to make this talk or this conference or anything to the people here that don't have the opportunity to learn about art at a professional level. And I think that for that reason, school is so important for us as a Biennial of Contemporary Art. And now we are going to talk about the future, and I will leave you with Dagmara again to talk about what is coming next.
Thank you, Carlos, very much. We are nearly in the end of our presentation. Yeah, we will talk a bit about the future, about our plans. We will have the next edition of SACO next year. And this 1.1 will allude to the 50th anniversary of the military coup in Chile, inviting us to extrapolate the constancy of the phenomena of violent acts in a global context at the different scales. Yeah, it will be maybe a complex thematic for artists, but we believe that it's really, really necessary. So it will be the focus of the research and the process of creative process for the next year. We will open the open call in the beginning of September. So there we will do public the curatorial text in the same week. It will be the first week of September, and it will close in December. And if you want to visit SACO 1.9, please book the date. We start 22 of June of 23. So it's nearly still 1 year. Thank you very much, and we are looking for your questions.
Just a little one, these are our webpage and our social media. So if any of you are interested to know more about SACO, about our activities, about our calls and everything, we have a webpage, biennialsaco.com, a YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So please just follow us and let's keep talking about that. That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Dagmara. Thank you, Carlos. It was fascinating. It brought, of course, back memories from when we were in Chile just 3 years ago, just before the pandemic. But it's the description of Antofagasta, of its region, of your work there, brings us to a completely different world than the one that we experienced in Santiago. So it was really great. So first of all, thank you very much for the presentation. I noted down some questions, and as far as I can see, there are no direct questions from the audience. So I will start maybe with a few of them, and then we can build it up as we go along. And I want to start from the very beginning almost. One of the first images that you showed, Carlos, was the graphic that you prepared with the distances between Antofagasta and other cities and other capitals in the region. And Santiago is definitely not the closest one. So I was wondering, given the vicinity of these other countries and of these others, also cultural and artistic scenes, how much are you able to interact and intercept with your direct neighbors, let's say? And the other side of the question is, how much are you still, of course, not just institutionally, but also culturally and so on, linked to what is happening in the rest of Chile, in those little 700 kilometers in which cultural life is taking place, let's say.
It's a really difficult question. It's normal to hear in Chile, you know, that Chile as a country is a totally utopic idea, because it's impossible. If you look to the geography of Chile, it can't work as one country because of the geography and all what it means. So yes, sometimes we have more connection. Thank you, Carlos. Sometimes we have more connection and stronger work. For example, we work a lot with Tucumán, San Miguel de Tucumán, and all the territory. It means Salta, Jujuy. It's, if you look, it looks like nearly not so far away, but you have to think that between Antofagasta and Tucumán, you have mountains with 500 meters. So it means normally I do it like 12, 14 hours by car. From Antofagasta, 16 hours from Antofagasta directly to Tucumán. So it's still far away. We have this kind of problem, the distance, the mountains, the desert. There are natural borders. So now in the internet time, we start to connect better. It's what normally I hate Zoom and I hate the virtual meetings, but we have to say it, that it's useful. And for sure, in Latin America, it's even more useful than in Europe, because I know what does it mean to travel and to meet in Europe, and what does it mean in all the meanings, in the distance, in expensive and whatever in Latin America. So yes, sometimes we work more. We have a strong connection with La Paz and especially with Tucumán, sometimes more than with Santiago, because you have this phenomena in Latin America that the capitals means normally, and it's not as in Europe, the half of the population of the country, or something like that. And you can see it in Mexico, in Chile, in Argentina. So this is the country inside the country. So you have the situation and the life in the city and in all the rest of the country. So we have more connection with no capitals, and no capitals, not, it means smaller city, the province, the not capital. It's like Arequipa, it's San Miguel de Tucumán. They're the city that we can speak together and can do projects like migratorial ships, because there are the points that we really need new curators. We really need more professionals in the art field to develop this small artistic sense, because if not, you will have only the centric only one point in every country.
I think that Dagmara said everything, but it's very clear when you take something so simple as the cost of travel. So Chile is so long that it's cheaper to travel to other countries like Peru, Bolivia, or Argentina to go to Santiago, and it's more expensive even to go to the south of Chile. It's like a lot of money just to travel inside your country, because we are so far away from the other side, right? And other example that can I say about this, I don't know what to say, this Altiplano or Andean territory is our open call that we are having right now for artists and creators from the Altiplano, right? To go to Basilea in this case for a residence of 3 months in Atelier Mundial, we are working with them with a project with funding from Helvetia, and it's very interesting that this particular open call was only for artists from this territory, right? From the Andean territory. So people, I don't know, from Chile, from Santiago, Buenos Aires, can't be part of this, because we saw that it is very important from this part of the region, this part of Latin America, to group and to create this kind of possibilities, right, for the people from this side of the map.
Yeah, I think that it's important to say that the borders of countries are so artificial. I think that I can imagine that maybe there is something similar, for example, in Africa. So we want to work not with national borders, but more in the cultural borders. So we decide that there is the Altiplano territory, and we will work with this identity and with this territory.
Thank you. Yeah, I think my question was not taking into account local traveling times. Yes. Before I continue with my questions, Gonzalo Guerrero had a question that I was made aware of. So Gonzalo, if you want to take the words, it would be nice to, if you could also turn on the camera so we see you as well.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. Sorry for my English. I am a student of the Master in History of Art in the Universidad Adolfo Ibáñez, but I live here in Antofagasta. So this experience of SACO is amazing for me. It's the Primera División of arts. So, well, my question is this: why the decision of curatory here in Antofagasta of work with the science disciplines like archaeology, geology? It's because of pretension of scientificism or a lack of development in the humanities here in the city? Obviously, the landscape is sublime here, but I think especially in Hal Foster, in his essay named The Artist and Ethnographer. Thank you.
Carlos?
Yes, sorry, I had the mic and turn off. Thank you so much, Gonzalo. It's nice to know that a fellow Antofagastinian is here with us, accompanying us for this experience. Yes, I just say the relationship between art and science is very important for us and comes from different ways, I believe, because most of the time it's the artist that wants to create a project that connects with different scientists or with different disciplines of knowledge, right? Antofagasta, as I was mentioning in the beginning, is a very rich region at the level of nature and places to study different kind of, I don't know, archaeology, geology, physics, and among others. So with this kind of interest from the artists that we have been seeing from not only past year, right? I'm talking about 5, 10 years in the past, we believe, okay, it's important for us to create the networks with scientifics. And at the beginning, it was very hard, very difficult, but now we can say that we have a lot of people that we can talk about, a lot of experts, astronomers, geologists with international and national repercussion, very famous and important, and of course, intelligent people that help us to understand this knowledge that for us as artists or as people from the culture is more difficult to come. So I think that it's a big part of our residence program to create these vinculations with science and with other knowledge, because it's what the artists want. And talking with scientifics, for example, we discovered that the scientifics also want this vinculation, right? Not only from the artist to the science, but the scientifics also want to link with art, right? It's very beautiful to see, for example, how artists talk with the scientific, with the archaeologists, for example, and the archaeologists share his or her experience. And we began to understand that they are not so different, right? At the beginning, it's like, okay, art and science is like, well, totally opposite ways of seeing things, but in reality, it's like the same. It's like different kind of ways, different ways to see the reality, to see the world. I think that that is beautiful, and that is what we are trying to do with linking and with the creation of these different kind of residence programs.
In the background of all what Carlos was saying, it's that we believe that we're supposed to break the boxes of the 19th century knowledge, and we're supposed to work more together and live outside the box. Yeah, here are the lawyers, and here are scientists, and here are artists, and we can see it in the old schools, and it's awful. And we know, and all the scientists speak about how to mix and how to cross and how to stimulate our creativity. So yeah, we are breaking all the time these 19th century boxes of knowledge.
Thank you. Maybe the next, o sea, I'm going to say in Spanish, quizás el nexo entre ambas, o sea, el conocimiento es uno, digamos, y el nexo es la creatividad y las imágenes mentales que se pueden crear tanto en la ciencia dura como en el arte, digamos, para representar algo.
Yeah, it will be difficult for me, but I will try to answer in English. You know, what is the more far away as a person, as an archetype for us, the most difficult to connect with art? It's not a housewife, it's not a scientist, it's the engineer man in the meaning system. Because where you have this point, if you love what you are doing, if you have any idea, it can be that you want to find this star that do you know, and if you want to find the life in the driest desert, it's so close to our, as the artist, as the curator, ideas. Because it's strange, you will not use it tomorrow. It's not useful in the directly way. I don't know if I can understand, if I can explain it as well, but the most practice way of life is the most enemy of our work. So always, if we have any men working in the minery in our exposition, it's like, wow, we get it. Because it's the most difficult point. We have his wife, we have his daughter, even his son, even his mother. But normally we have here the imagine that man is working and do serious things. So art, it's not as serious. So this is our like network. So scientists are not far away. We have a really great contact because in the background of the motivation, when you ask yourself, why are you doing what are you doing? We are so close. We are really so close. We're scientists. So it's a really great network, like already Carlos said, and we together, artists, curator, and scientists, we are working, trying to change the mining and industrial and economical world we share in this territory.
Yes, and also we have seen with the past years that there are a lot of scientists that are artists and artists that are scientifics. Just in SACO, in past editions of the Biennial, the festival, when it was a festival, we have had scientifics, people with a lot of university studies and everything, very smart people, that also create art, that also are part of SACO as an artist, not as a scientific. I think that's also very interesting to see that there's a lot of people, people from other areas that are approaching art and discover maybe other ways of see things or express themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gonzalo, for the question, and Dagmara and Carlos for the answer. I think it's an ongoing and very relevant piece of research within the arts, but also in science. I mean, this dialogue, this sharing of knowledges, and this breaking down those boxes and barriers that you mentioned, Dagmar, in terms of disciplines that emerged in the 18th and 19th century, particularly in Europe. So I think it's also a way of moving away maybe from that centric vision, let's say, of the world and human knowledge. We're running a bit tight with time, but I want to ask you a couple of other questions, because when I was listening to your presentation, and having done a little bit of research on Antofagasta, having read a little bit about the context, it really feels like the work that you do apologies, the work that you do is extremely important because of the lack of cultural infrastructure and educational infrastructure within arts and cultural fields in the region. And as I think of an institution or a project that has been going on for over 10 years now in a region like that, I was wondering what kind of debates has it stimulated locally in terms of maybe the need for more hard infrastructure, let's say, in cultural spaces, let's say. If this has happened at all, but I would imagine that after 10 years, you have become something that can also generate that kind of public debate, let's say, at a local level.
Yes, I think that the debate, especially this past year, it has been part of our reality here in the country, in the city especially, and not only in Antofagasta. This is important to mention that this phenomenon of the lack of infrastructure and educational manners to try and know more about art at a professional level, as I was mentioning in the presentation, it happens in Antofagasta, but also in the north, in the northern Chile, and in the south of Chile, and in general, it's a phenomenon that occurs in all the long country that we have, except from the 3 regions from the center, right? So we have conversations with authorities, with private institutions to talk about how we can improve this. But in the end, these conversations are, I don't know if we can say fruitless, but with not a lot of repercussion in the end, right? It's like, oh, okay, you are right, you're totally right, we have to make this and work on this, but in the end, we don't have the funds, or they don't help us in a long term, right? So for that reason, we are constantly giving an exercise of imagination, if you call it, to create order space from the non-existence, right? Just an example, I didn't mention during the presentation, but one of our exhibition space in the city is a literal window, right? A window that we cut and we put a TV, a big, very big screen in the window of a house because we don't have other space to put it, right? And this kinds of solution, I think that surely presents the difficulty for arts and culture to create here in the country, but also the imagination and how we can fight back, right? Creating this exhibition space from the nothing, I think that is part of our conversation. And yeah, there has been the creation of some space, little space, small galleries, for example, or a house that some people, younger people, began to create a cultural center, for example. But always it's like the same people that we know working for this, but at a bigger level, right? A municipality level, at a government level. There are no very big solutions still for now to the problem of the lack of infrastructure. I don't know, Dagmara, if you want to add something?
We can speak about hope. Next time, we can say, that there are really strong changes. We will have a new constitution, and we are working to put the important point about the culture inside the constitution, because a public constitution. So maybe in 2-3 years more, we will start to observe some kind of changes. But we still live in the reality as we have. So we need a lot of creativity. And yes, we are using all the space we can use to our processes, to our expositions.
Thank you. Yes, I assume that it was a complicated question to answer, but I think a relevant one. I think it's hopefully one of the things that a project like yours and like many other biennials can stimulate at the local level, to have this discussion with the local authorities, but also private initiatives and so on. Maybe linking into this and trying to find a hopeful conclusion, citing your hope, Dagmara. Listening to many of the projects you described, of the way that you interact with scientists, with other spaces in Chile, with international institutions and so on. And we discussed this a little bit before the presentation. It really feels like one of the greatest values that you can add to Antofagasta, but also to the artistic community in general, is this sense of starting a process, no? of creating something that then can take other steps and can develop, whether it is in the other residencies that you described through the Al Otro Lado project, or these international connections that you found and that you created. So in this relationship, I wanted to ask you, or to give you the word on the space that you see for SACO in these processes. We talked about it in other occasions, that it really feels a bit like an incubator of possibilities, let's say, no? An incubator of some artistic ideas, some artistic thoughts that can germinate in Antofagasta through the residencies, through the encounter with the scientists, through the encounter with the territory, and then can grow further along the roads in other occasions through partnerships and so on. That's my impression. That's an idea, and I think it's a hopeful one. So I wanted to put you this question or this thought forward as a concluding question for the presentation. or for the discussion.
Yes, yes, we believe in artists. We believe in artist process, and yeah, we think that we work as a big incubator, and there is the special moment we can see the beginning, and personally, I love it. To feel this inspiration, to see the artist in the desert, to connect him or her with a scientist, to observe all this moment when he or she is not sure if it's something start, has a lot of question, and then you see first photos or drawings or hear first ideas, and then you can share with a local public the first form of the work in progress. And then you wait 2-3 years sometimes, and then the artists send you from other biennial for a white cube of the European gallery photos of the official form of the end of this process. And it's a really emotional moment. Then we say, wow, do you remember when she was here and we were speaking, and then she showed us the exposition of the final process. Sometimes it means that we want to show it too, and in SACO, so we wait for the moment to show the end of the process. So we think always, I believe in process, and we want to be a part and to provoke the process, the real contact before COVID with the territory, feeling the territory and the context. We don't think about products. We don't think, as SACO don't think about artworks as a product. We always think about the process inside the head of the artist, and the process between the artist and the public.
Yes, and I think that in the end, we working here in the Biennial, in culture and art here in Antofagasta, I think that to work in something like this in a place like here, we have to be hopeful people, right? To make changes and to create something. I think that is one of the most beautiful things about this part of the project is this, right? To have at least the possibility to make a change. I think that is something that we value a lot. And for example, just last year, Dagmara was part of a conversation with the Constitutional Convention, right? To create the part of the cultural new part of the Constitution. She was one of the people interviewed for this, and she told them about all the problems that we as an institution have saw in the past years. And for example, just in some weeks, this constitution, this conventional constitution will come here to Antofagasta for a ceremony to give us the first, I don't know how to say, the first version of the new constitution of Chile. And we will be part of this presentation. We were invited, and we will be there with them. So I don't know. It's small things, but I believe that yes, in the future, in the near or in the long-term future, we will see those changes, and we will keep working for it.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Dagmara. That was yes, definitely more than just a little ray of hope, and yeah, it sounds like a great experience also for artists. So. Make sure to keep us informed when, or to give us the details about the open call so we can share it, of course, and have it circulated also through International Biennial Association. I would like to conclude here, I think. It was incredibly inspiring. It was a glimpse of a reality and territory that probably many of our members didn't know yet. But as you said, the next biennial is happening next August. So hopefully, keeping the hope as a main theme, hopefully we will all be there celebrating your biennial 1.1. And in the process also, of course, the new constitution and the new situation in Chile, which hopefully gives us something to be looking forward to. Yeah, I leave you the last words. I want to thank you, both of you, for being here, for presenting SACO, for organizing it, of course. And I truly hope to see you in physical life again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christian. Thank you, Eva. Thank you, everybody. And yes, it's important. We are waiting for the moment to meet us directly. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, everyone. To everyone that is seeing us also in social media, it was a great experience, and I hope that you also had a good time listening to us. And yes, let's hope to see each other face to face in the future. That would be great.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I want to thank also all of our audiences, both here present in the Zoom and through our YouTube channel and Facebook and wherever else you're following us. Before I conclude, I just want to remind you all to keep an eye on our social media feeds, our website for future IBA stages, IBA stage events, apologies, and our other programs, which include IBA conversations and hopefully soon also in-person meetings. And with this, I would like to conclude and thank you again, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a good morning, evening, depending on your time zone.